What do you think about when I say he lives like a king? Well, I think about sitting at home in my lazy boy, stuffing my face with good food, being waited on hand and foot, getting everything my heart desires. Is that what you think about when I say he lives like a king? Well, that's not what God thinks about when he hears the words, live like a king. In fact, in Proverbs 31, God tells us what it means to live like a king. And he tells us we should live like a king, but a godly and wise king. Proverbs 31 is a fascinating chapter. It starts out, it's a wise and godly queen teaching her son and future king how to live like a wise and good king. Now, this might be a great chapter to read right before we go and vote in an election. But we're going to look today at one aspect of what it means to live like a wise and good, godly king. So let's read together. This is Proverbs 31, verse 8. It goes like this. Open your mouth for the mute, for the rights of all who are destitute. Open your mouth for the mute, for the rights of all who are destitute. So far from getting everything my heart desires, what God says a good and wise king lives like, he says a wise king will give a voice to the voiceless. Far from being waited on hand and foot, a wise king uses what he has to the benefit of others. So Christian, when we live our lives as wise kings and queens, we should be giving our voice to those who have no voice. We should be speaking for the poor. We should be speaking out against racism. We should give a voice to the unborn who have no voice. We should be speaking up for that single mom down the street who works 3 jobs to make ends meet. We should be speaking for the oppressed. And Christian, when we give a voice to the oppressed, when we give a voice to the voiceless, we're not just living like some good and wise king. In a small way, we're living like our good and wise king. You see, Jesus is king. And yet he saw me as an oppressed sinner, a sinner oppressed by my own sin and by death and hell and my own flesh. And instead of just basking in his kingship, he gave himself for me by dying on the cross for a voiceless sinner, by raising again from the dead. And when he rose from the dead, he has freedom in hand for all who call upon his name, for all who repent and have faith. He gives us freedom from what really oppresses us, sin and death and hell. So Christian, let's commit ourselves to live like a good and wise king. Let's commit ourselves to have joy in our King Jesus and to try our best to live like him. We love you. We will see you again soon.